Today, we're going to wind up going over slope once again. So we're going to be working on slope for a while. Just like I said a couple of days ago, we're going to be working on it up until we leave for Thanksgiving break. The reason why we have to work on it for so long is just because there's so many different ways to get slope and they test on all of those different ways. So we just have to make sure that y'all are prepared. But as far as slope today, there's going to be a slightly different way as far as how we can get slope. It's called the slope formula. All right, and it's not super complicated at all whenever you break it down, okay? So, of course, anytime we see the letter M, that's always going to mean slope. I have yet to see it mean anything else, so just know that. And then, of course, in order to get slope, a way to do it is rise over run, to where you always need your y's. Okay, I like putting a y there instead of an I. That way we kind of remember that the y's have to go on top, and then your x's always have to go on bottom. So what this formula is saying right here is if they ever give you 2 points like they did right here on this example, then your second point, the y coordinate from your second point would have to be subtracted from the y from your first point. Put that over the x's. So the x from the second point has to be subtracted from the x from the first point. Now after that, you just put that into your calculator. Whatever it gives you, that's your slope, okay? So as far as being able to know which one is 0.1 and which one is 0.2, just look at it just as if you're reading a book. So this point right here, that would have to be our first point. So I made that 0.1. And then this one came second. So I just made that 0.2. So once you do that, right above here, if I were you, I would name each of these x1, y1, and x2, y2. That way, whenever you're trying to plug them into this little formula right here, it gets really, really, really simple to be able to tell which number goes where. So I would make this one x1. This one, I'd make that y1. I'd make these two my x2 and my y2. Since this one belongs to the first point, that's why I'm putting the ones, and this one belongs to the second point. I'm putting those with twos. All right, so we're gonna make sure we do the same thing right here, just to kind of get used to it a little bit. So 0.1, 0.2. This one's x1 because it belongs to the first point. This one's y1 because it belongs to the first point. This one's x2 because it belongs to the second point. This one's y2 because it belongs to the second point. So then at that point, we just take this and put it into our formula. So our formula says, first take the y's. Your second y has to be subtracted with your first y. So make sure your y2 goes first, okay? So our y2 in this case is 9 minus our y1, which is 3. Put that in a fraction over your x2, which has to go first, which is 6, minus your x1, which is 2. So at that point, all you do is just subtract these two and then divide. Or an easier way that you can do this is just by putting this whole thing into your calculator. So I made sure I put the little way to make your fraction come up on your calculator just in case we've forgotten. So make sure to press alpha, y equals, and then enter, and that's what's going to make your fraction setup be able to pop up. So here we go. Press on, clear out all the old stuff that I had in there. So then I'm going to press alpha, y equals, and then enter for that option 1. And there we go. There's our fraction set up. So I'm literally just going to type it in just exactly how I wrote it. So 9 minus sign 3 over 6 minus 2. So remember, I did not use any negatives here because I didn't have any negative numbers. I just used the minus sign, okay? Make sure you know the difference between the negative symbol and the minus sign, okay? Because there's some people who are still having a little bit of trouble with that. After that, I'm just going to press enter. There you go. 3/2. That's what you get. So finally, 3/2. And then if you want to divide them and turn them into a decimal, because sometimes they're going to have it just in fraction form exactly like this. Other times they might give it to you in just straight up decimal form. Then 3/2, if you wanted to turn that into a fraction, if you didn't already know what it was, then straight from here, you would just press math and then option 2 for decimal. And then that can give you the decimal version, okay? So 1.5. Then I'll box that in. So then right here, they want you to practice. So it says find the slope of each pair of points using the slope formula. So go ahead and do those. I already kind of preset it up for you, every single one. So that M, of course, means slope, which means you got to do rise over run, which means your Y's got to go on top, X has got to go on bottom. So here's the little preset up. And then after that, plug it into your calculator, get your answer. We'll see what you get.